The frantic two-day search for actress Jennifer Hudson's missing nephew ended this morning with the worst possible outcome: the discovery of an SUV missing from the crime scene with a boy's body inside.
We can confirm that the body located inside the vehicle was the body of 7-year-old Julian King.
Setting a stage.
I wish they would do that to Jennifer Hudson. I wish they set a stage for her. Because I'm sick and tired of her was willing to sacrifice her own family and a child just get, and everybody thinks she great. Like, now that I'm starting to see, because I never really paid too much attention to.
Things are heating up because Jennifer Hudson just landed on the list of stars who reportedly want Jaguar Wright silenced, like completely. Why? Because Jaguar's been dropping some wild claims about how fame can come at a serious cost, even family. Jaguar's pointing fingers straight at Jennifer, saying she's one of the celebs who allegedly traded personal tragedy for a skyrocketing career. People have long raised eyebrows over how Jennifer's fame exploded right after the heartbreaking loss of 3 close family members. The timing way too sharp to ignore. And if you listen to what Jaguar's been saying, nothing in Hollywood happens by chance, everything's connected. But Jennifer's not sitting back and letting this slide. Word is she supposedly warned Jaguar to stop speaking on her name, or else. The pressure's on. Rumor has it she even hinted at shutting Jaguar down completely if the talk doesn't stop. This drama's got layers and it's getting messier by the minute. Get ready, cause this ride is just getting started.
If she was willing to sacrifice Whitney Houston so she could be a bad talk show host.
It's only the beginning of the year and Jaguar Wright is already out here lighting up the internet with wild revelations about Hollywood's dark side, talking secret rituals, alleged sacrifices, and creepy spiritual stuff. She's not holding back, and the things she's exposing, straight up chilling. Jaguar's been pulling the curtain back for years now, calling out the shady stuff celebs get into while the world's too distracted to notice. And let's be real, she's made a ton of enemies because of it. But since when has Jaguar ever cared about stepping on toes? She's not here to play nice, she's here to speak her truth no matter who it upsets. Now she's got her eyes locked on Jennifer Hudson, and what she's saying is shaking things up big time.
I was really trying her hardest to look like Whitney Houston. I never really thought about it. If she was willing to sacrifice Whitney Houston so she could be a bad talk show host.
Jack, so to play devil's advocate, for those that say Jaguar Wright is jealous of their careers.
Why would I be jealous of sacrificing people and accepting false accolades for that I didn't earn?
If even half of what Jaguar's claiming is real, then Hollywood might be way darker than most people could ever imagine. Jaguar claims Jennifer's been deep into that spiritual scene from the jump, and she's saying J-Hud would do whatever it takes to stay on top. Jaguar even said Jennifer's been obsessed with becoming the next Whitney Houston, copying everything from her voice to her style and even her hair. That's some serious mimic game going on. This is way deeper than anyone thought. But let's be real, there was only one Whitney Houston and no one else could ever fill those shoes. If you look back at old pics of a young Jennifer Hudson and compare them to Whitney's early days, it's not hard to spot the exact moment Jennifer started switching up her look to mirror Whitney's vibe. The hair, the glam, the stage presence is like watching a rerun. Now, being inspired by a legend is normal. Everyone's got role models. But straight up copying someone's whole image to carve out your own spotlight, that's a different story. And according to Jaguar, Jennifer didn't stop there. Jaguar claims Jennifer didn't just want to look like Whitney, she wanted to live her life. She says Jennifer allegedly tried to get close to Clive Davis, the same music executive who discovered Whitney and helped build her career from the ground up. Here's the backstory. Clive Davis wasn't just Whitney's mentor, he had serious influence over both her music and personal life. He stood by her through everything. Her tough battles with addiction, her rocky relationship with Bobby Brown, and every major comeback she made after rehab. Jaguar suggesting Jennifer wanted that same blueprint and was willing to chase it hard. This ain't just about admiration, it's starting to sound like obsession. Whitney and Clive Davis didn't just have a regular artist-executive relationship. It was way deeper than that, at least from Whitney's side. She saw him more like a friend, someone she trusted. But the streets have been whispering for years that Clive might have had a whole different mindset. Rumors have swirled forever that Clive was low-key controlling when it came to Whitney, and that he acted like he owned her because of how much he shaped her career. People say once she started slipping, he began thinking with his pockets instead of his heart. Jaguar and others have claimed that when Whitney's struggles with alcohol and substances got worse, Clive allegedly started planning for the worst, not to help her, but to cash in if she passed. It's a chilling thought, but the theory goes that since she was no longer bringing in the same money, her passing would become the next big payday. Here's where things get even more twisted. Whitney was set to perform at Clive's annual pre-Grammy party the same night she died, in the same Beverly Hilton hotel where she was first introduced to the world back in 1983. She was found in a bathtub, and it was said she drowned due to heavy intoxication. But what really got people talking? Clive kept the party going. While Whitney lay dead just floors away, the music didn't stop.
But the Grammys were the next night. You don't cancel. You turn an evening into a tribute.
So you did a magnificent evening.
Into...
Did you give a thought to canceling?
Never.
You never thought?
Never.
Did you ever think?
And the family did not want me to give a thought to cancel. No.
That detail alone raised a lot of eyebrows. Something about it just didn't sit right. Whitney's body was literally lying upstairs, and Clive Davis was downstairs partying like nothing happened. He told the crowd, Whitney would have wanted us to continue, but come on. Everybody who really knew Whitney said there's no way she'd be okay with that. That moment rubbed a lot of folks the wrong way. It just didn't feel right. The way Clive kept the celebration going while Whitney had just passed, it lit up suspicions fast. People started asking, did Clive have a hand in what happened to her? Now, Jaguar Wright is adding even more heat to the story. She claims Jennifer Hudson might have teamed up with Clive in some deep, dark plot to sacrifice Whitney. According to her, Whitney knew something was about to go down. She just didn't have the power to stop it because Clive had too much control around her. But Whitney wasn't about to leave without dropping a warning. Jaguar says that's why Whitney famously interrupted an interview with Clive and Brandy just to hand Brandy a secret note, telling her to be careful who she trusts in the industry. That note has been a mystery ever since. Whitney and Jennifer weren't exactly close friends, but Jennifer had always said Whitney was her idol. She tried hard to get close to her, but not just out of admiration. Jaguar claims J-Hud was allegedly working with Clive behind the scenes. Why? Because Clive promised her the crown, told her she could be the next Whitney Houston. If that's true, it's a scandal on a whole different level. Oh, if you thought things were already dark, get ready because it gets way worse from here. Jaguar Wright is making serious claims, saying Jennifer Hudson's history with sacrificing people for her own success didn't just start with Hollywood, it allegedly hit way closer to home. And what she's accusing is disturbing on a whole new level. On October 24, 2008, a horrifying scene unfolded in the quiet neighborhood of Inglewood on Chicago's South Side. Inside Jennifer Hudson's family home, tragedy struck hard. Her mother, Darnell Donnerson, and her brother, Jason Hudson, were both found dead, victims of what looked like a vicious, targeted attack. But that wasn't all. Jennifer's young nephew, 7-year-old Julian King, was also supposed to be at the house. He was nowhere to be found when the bodies were discovered. Julian, the son of Jennifer's sister, Julia Hudson, had completely vanished. An AMBER alert went out fast. The family held on to hope, praying he'd be found safe, but heartbreak followed. 3 days later, Julian's body was found inside a parked car on Chicago's West Side. What authorities uncovered was heartbreaking. Julian had been fatally shot multiple times, just like his grandmother and uncle. The story shocked the entire country, but Jaguar claims there's more to it than what made the headlines. She suggests this wasn't just a random act of violence, but something far more sinister and connected to Jennifer's rise to superstardom. That's the part that's sending chills down people's spines. The nightmare kicked off when Jennifer Hudson's sister, Julia, walked into their family home and came face to face with something no one should ever have to see: the lifeless bodies of their mother and brother. Her son, little Julian, was gone. Panic set in immediately, and Chicago police launched a full investigation. It didn't take long before things started unraveling. The weapon used in the killings was discovered in the same park where Julian's body was later found, like someone wanted it all tied up in one horrific scene. As if the heartbreak wasn't already too much to handle, that detail made everything feel even more chilling. Cops quickly turned their attention to someone close: Julia's estranged husband, William Balffor. And let's just say, he had red flags all over him. Their relationship had been a storm from day one. Family members revealed that Balffor had once threatened Julia during a heated argument, saying things that no one could forget. But that wasn't all. Balffor had a long criminal record. At the time, he was out on parole after doing nearly 7 years for charges like attempted carjacking and possessing a stolen vehicle. With that kind of past and his connection to the family, police didn't hesitate. Balffor was picked up and taken into custody that same day. This case was already tragic, but now it was tangled in something way darker. After the heartbreaking discovery of Jennifer Hudson's mom and brother, things just kept getting worse. Investigators dropped a bombshell. William Balfour's fingerprints were found on the car where young Julian's body had been hidden. That alone was enough to raise serious alarms. But there was more. Months into the investigation, Balfour's then-girlfriend came forward and claimed she saw him with a gun, one that matched the murder weapon, just days before everything went down. That piece of info locked him in even tighter. With all that evidence stacking up, Balffor stayed behind bars until December 2008, when he was officially charged. The charges? 3 counts of first degree for the deaths of Darnell Donaldson, Jason Hudson, and 7-year-old Julian King. He was also hit with 1 count of home invasion. But even with those heavy charges, the case dragged on. The trial didn't kick off until April 2012, nearly 4 years after that tragic day. Prosecutors leaned hard on physical evidence and key witness statements that placed Balffor at the scene right when the violence went down. Balffor never admitted to anything. He kept claiming he was innocent, but the prosecution painted a different picture, calling him a jealous, bitter man who couldn't handle that Julia had moved on with someone new. They said his actions were all about control and rage. In May 2012, the verdict came in: guilty. Balffor was sentenced to 3 life sentences, no parole, no second chances. Justice maybe, but the pain never really left. On top of 3 life sentences, William Balffor got slapped with another 120 years, basically making sure he'll never see the outside world again. With justice finally served for her loved ones, Jennifer Hudson had to face the painful task of rebuilding her life from the wreckage. Before tragedy hit, J-Hud's career was soaring. She had just snagged an Academy Award for Dreamgirls and was climbing fast in the music world, making her mark as a powerhouse voice in the game. But the devastating loss of her family hit hard, and it wasn't something she could just sing through. Jennifer stepped away from everything. She pressed pause on new projects, pulled out of public appearances, and kept a super low profile while she tried to heal from the unimaginable. Still, by 2009, she was ready to step back into the spotlight, and she did it with serious emotion. She returned in a powerful way, performing the national anthem at the Super Bowl, and left the crowd in chills. That moment proved she hadn't lost her voice, she just needed time. Then in 2016, she took her pain and turned it into purpose by launching the Julian D. King Foundation, named after her nephew, to help at-risk youth. Even with all the evidence stacked against him, Balffor kept saying he was innocent, insisting he'd never harmed Julian or the rest of the family. But the courts weren't buying it. And Jennifer, she chose to focus on honoring her loved ones and reclaiming her life. Even though all the evidence pointed straight at William Balffor, there were still whispers in the air. People started asking, did Jennifer Hudson actually benefit from the loss of her family? Some began wondering if there was something deeper going on, something tied to those infamous dark Hollywood rumors. See, when folks compared her career before the tragedy to what happened after, it didn't sit right with everybody. The glow-up was intense. Awards started pouring in, she was getting spotlighted over her peers, and her presence in the industry exploded. To some, it looked like her fame hit a whole new level right after the heartbreak. That's when Jaguar Wright stepped in and threw more gasoline on the fire. She didn't hold back, saying flat out that Jennifer needed to be investigated for allegedly sacrificing her own family to climb the fame ladder. Jaguar also pointed to how detached Jennifer seemed whenever she discussed the tragedy. One moment that stuck out, when Jennifer publicly admitted she hadn't visited the graves of her mother and brother since it all went down. That hit a nerve with a lot of people and added more fuel to a story that refuses to fade away. Talk about family sacrifice rituals in Hollywood, and most folks will call it wild conspiracy talk. But the stars who do speak up about it, they get labeled crazy real quick. Just look at Kanye West. He's one of the few who's actually dared to pull back the curtain. Back in a 2015 interview with GQ, Kanye got real personal. He admitted that he blamed himself for his mother's passing, saying the industry had taken her from him. He said that chasing fame might have cost him the most important person in his life. His exact words, "If I had never moved to LA, she'd still be alive." He didn't want to dig too deep, saying it would bring him to tears, but the pain was obvious. Then jump to 2022 and a paparazzi video hits the internet. Kanye's caught on camera going off, saying Hollywood sacrificed his mom. He claimed powerful people in the industry were trying to control him, just like they were doing to other famous Black celebrities. And he didn't stop there. He name dropped. Kanye called out names like Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, LeBron James, and Jay-Z, saying they all had to give up something, someone to get where they are. Whether folks believe it or not, Kanye made it clear, in his eyes, fame in Hollywood comes at a price. And it's not always money. You feel me? Jaguar Wright hasn't held back when it comes to talking about the deep, dark side of the industry. She's been loud about it, claiming that in the world of fame and fortune, a lot of celebs are forced to make massive sacrifices. And sometimes, those sacrifices go beyond just career moves. We're talking real serious stuff, even involving people close to them. According to Jaguar, these rituals aren't just rare slip-ups, they're everywhere. She says almost every big-name celebrity has been involved in something shady to reach the top. And when it comes to Kanye, Jaguar believes he's just one of the few brave enough to say it out loud. Then there's Jennifer Hudson. The timing of her tragic family loss lining up with her sudden rise in fame, it's left a lot of people raising their eyebrows, too many coincidences, and not enough clear answers. So now the question is, do you think J-Hud is really wrapped up in something dark behind the scenes? Or is Jaguar just stirring the pot to grab attention? Sound off in the comments, and don't forget to check out what's coming next. It gets even deeper.